Okay, so before we get started, I have some hot chocolate. It's a snow day, y'all. It's snowing outside. Well, it's not snowing yet, but it's supposed to snow. We're supposed to get like 8 to 12 inches of snow. Hopefully we don't. But I got my marshmallows. So I'm gonna put my. I haven't had I haven't had hot chocolate in so long. Ooh, it looks so good. Should I put a lot or should I just put a little bit? I'm gonna put a lot. All right, I think this is enough. Ah! All right, this is enough. I think I overdid it, y'all. Look at my hot chocolate. Oh, it's so cute. Thumbnail. So, I'm coming to you guys with a story time about my traumatic experience. Something that I went through about 2 years ago. It was very, it was just a lot. The situation was a lot. Mentally, it was a lot. Like it took me about a year to really like kind of get over it. It took a lot out of me. I didn't know how strong I was until I went through that experience. Like that experience literally broke me all the way down and then built me back up. And I couldn't have gone through it without God. But okay, I'm gonna get into the actual story. The situation happened on March 30th, but March 31st. Like it happened at like 4 o'clock in the morning. So it was March 31st pretty much. So what happened, I'm gonna start from like the beginning of the day and then go throughout the day. So that morning, I woke up and I had to work, but it was like the first like nice day that we had because you know winter was just coming to an end. So I'm like, oh, it's Saturday, like it's a nice day. I think it was Saturday. I think it was like Friday or Saturday. I'm not sure. It could have been Thursday. I don't know the exact day. But I'm like, it's nice outside. It's gonna be nice today. I don't really want to go to work. And he was like, okay, well, if you don't want to go to work, then don't go. I believe he was already off. So he was like, what you want to do? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I didn't have anything really figured out as to what I wanted to do, but I just wanted to get out the house. He like, all right, well, I got to go to my uncle's funeral. And then after that, I'm going to be free. So he went or whatever. He went to the funeral. He was like texting me and calling me, not during, well, kind of during the funeral, but not really. After the funeral was over, like, are you okay? What's going on? He's like, yeah, everything fine. His mom was fine, cool. But he's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I still don't know. So he's like, okay, well, just get ready. Just be ready. So I'm like, all right. So I'm chilling in the house because I'm like, okay, it's gonna take him, some time to get here. So I'm chilling. Then I'm slowly getting myself ready. I put my flexi rods in my hair and I got in the shower. And then I did my makeup. And I'm like, okay, I just don't know. I didn't know what I was gonna put on yet. So I'm like, all right. As long as, like, ladies, y'all know, if your hair is done and your makeup done, it's not gonna take that long. Like, I already know what's in my closet. So I already kind of had in mind of what I was gonna want to put on. But I just wasn't all the way sure yet. But everything else, all the important stuff was done. He comes there and he lays on the couch. And he like, dang, you're not even done yet. You're not even ready. And I'm like, I am. I already got in the shower. I already did my makeup. My hair already, flexi rodded. I just got to figure out what I'm wearing. And he was like, all right, well, go do that. And he laid on the couch and I'm just like, get up. Like, get up. You go get in the shower. So he's like, I'm going to do all of that. I'm like, okay, whatever. So he kind of, I guess me not being ready kind of made him a little irritated. So then it went from that to, okay, well, where do you want to go? And I'm like, I don't know where I want to go. I just want to go somewhere. Like, I want to get out the house. It's going to be a nice day. I really just want to go somewhere. And he's like, okay, but how do you want to go somewhere if you don't know where you want to go? I'm like, Like, honestly, I really just wanted us to get up, get dressed, and leave out. I had already called out of work, so I was getting out the house regardless. So he finally starts to get ready, y'all. He starts to get ready, and this is so good. He starts to get ready. I'm like, okay, he's taking kind of long. So now he don't know what he putting on. So I'm like, all right, let me just go. So I put my dress on, put my shoes on or whatever, and I was like, okay, while you getting ready, I'm gonna go to the liquor store. So I go to the liquor store. The liquor store wasn't far. It was literally like 5 minutes away. So I go to the liquor store, and then there's a Wendy's inside of the plaza. So I went to Wendy's and I got a strawberry lemonade, a big one, so I could mix that with the liquor. So I get back, he's still not ready. So now we're arguing about where to go and what to do. And I'm like, okay, well, if we don't go anywhere, then I'm probably just gonna go with my best friend. My best friend had invited me to a brunch. Some guy that she knew was like throwing this brunch downtown, well, on South Street, at this place. So I'm like, okay, well, if we don't go out together, then I'm probably gonna go with her. I told y'all, I already called out, so I'm getting out the house regardless. So he took that as, oh, well, why didn't you just say that you wanted to go out with your best friend? And I'm like, because I want to go out with you, but if we can't figure out what we're doing and this is causing an argument, then I can just go out with her, because that'll just make it easier. Like, I can just go out with her and leave it there. So he got mad because I brought up the option of me going out with my best friend. So he got mad at that, and I'm just like, we're arguing back and forth. I'm like, this is just too much. So I'm like, you know what, I'm leaving. I text my best friend, told her I was coming, and that was that. So I get outside, but I'm not really an arguer, y'all. I don't like to argue. So I get outside my car, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, why is this happening right now? Like, why are we arguing? I don't want to argue with him. This is dumb. So I call him. He answered. And I'm like, can you at least come outside and take a shot with me? And I think he said no. Though. But then he wound up coming outside anyway. He came outside, he was fully dressed. So I'm like, okay, well, he must have found somewhere to go to because he's fully dressed. So he comes outside, sits in my car. I'm like, here, take the shot. I give him the bottle. He not trying to take the shot. I'm like, you just want to be mad at me. Like, why do you want to be mad right now? Just stop being grumpy you and just take the shot. So he didn't want to take the shot, but then he finally takes the shot. And we're still arguing, like, and I'm like, you know what? I'm trying to make the peace. I'm trying to keep the peace, but this ain't working. So whatever. He gets out my car. He slams the door. I'm like, okay. So I turned my music on and I pulled off because I was just like, I'm not dealing with this today. Like, I want to have fun. It's a nice day. I'm not dealing with this. I'm going to go chill with my best friend. We're going to go, to the little brunch place, and it is what it is. So I get to the brunch place. I get to where my best friend is at. Everything's cool. She was there with like some of her other friends or whatever. So we sitting there, we in a section. We was there for a minute too. We was in a section, we got hookah, we got liquor. And then I invited one of his friends' girlfriend, because we were cool too. So I invited her, she came, and we're all just chilling, vibing, smoking hookah, whatever. So after the brunch thing, I think we went to the car and we started drinking some more. So we went to, I think, whose car? I don't know if it was my car or my best friend's car. I think it was my car. I think I drove. But yeah, I did drive that day. So we went to my car, we started drinking a little bit more, and then we was trying to figure out what we was gonna do. So we wound up going back to South Street. So we go to South Street, we walking on South Street. So if you're not from Philly, South Street is it's like walking up and down the strip in Miami, but it's not as lit. but it's stores, it's bars, it's food restaurants, like all kinds of stuff. So we're walking up and down South Street. Well, not walking up and down, but I think we walked up South Street. And then when we was walking back down South Street to the end to go back towards my car, I seen my boyfriend at the time. So I see him on the other side of the road over here. I see him over here, and he's like walking back up South Street. So he's walking up South Street, and I'm like, oh, y'all, there go the guys. So I tell the friend who I invited there that's in a relationship with his friend, I think her boyfriend was with him. Well, I see my boyfriend at the time. So I'm like, oh, should I say something? Should I say something? And she like, no, girl, don't say nothing. Let him have fun with his friends. Let him enjoy his night. And I'm just like I didn't want to not say nothing. But I'm like, all right, I'm just not going to say nothing. But I really, in my head, I'm like, why? Like, I see my boyfriend, so I want to go say hi. Like, and we was arguing. But she was like, no. So she convinced me not to say nothing. So I didn't say nothing. So we continued to go to the car, whatever. Go home. Well, I dropped everybody off. I dropped off my best friend. I dropped her off. Well, not dropped her off because we was going to the same place. So we dropped my best friend off, and then we went to go park. And then we just walked back to the apartment. So we get there. Her boyfriend was already on his way back home. So I'm calling my boyfriend. He's being mean. He's not answering the phone because he's still mad at what happened earlier about not knowing where to go. So he's not really answering. I don't know where he's at. So I get back. I'm drunk though. So I get back into my apartment. I go into the apartment, take my stuff off, get in the bed. But I was drunk. So I remember texting him. And then I called. And when I called, he answered. And he was in like a bar or something. And he hung up. And I think I called him before he answered the phone. I called him about like 10 times, and he kept declining it, and he kept texting me back like, I'm out. I'm like, I know you're out. Like, answer the phone. And I was drunk, so I was a little eggy. So he finally answers. That's when I seen that he was in a bar, and then he hung up. So I fall asleep. Like, I'm knocked out. The light on and everything. Like, I was done. I was knocked out. So I'm asleep, and then I wake up. And I wake up to a phone call. So it's like 4 something in the morning, I think. It was like 3 something or 4 something in the morning. So I wake up to a phone call. I answer the phone, and one of his friends is on the phone, and he's like, get dressed, I'm coming to get you. And I'm like, what? What do you mean you're coming to get me? Why are you calling me telling me to get dressed? You're coming to get me. So I didn't know what the hell was going on. I'm like, what? So I hang up. Well, we hang up. So then the number calls again. His friend calls again. And it's my friend, because my friend and his friend was in a relationship. So it's her. She's like, oh, I need a name for him. We're going to call him Anthony. No, we're going to call him Brandon. We're going to call him Brandon. So she's like, Shalia, get up. Brandon got shot. And I'm like, what? So mind you, I was asleep. So I'm like, what the hell is going on? That's when I realized that, okay, I fell asleep with the light on. I didn't have my scarf on my head at all. And then I started looking at my phone, and I'm like, dang, he didn't even call me or text me. Like, where's he at? Then I'm like, he got shot. What's going on? Like, everything is going through my head. So she's like, we lived in the same building. So she's like, I'm coming upstairs to get you. Because her boyfriend lived on the other side. And I lived on the other side. I lived on the opposite side. So she's like, I'm coming to get you. So I hear, like, 5 minutes later, she's knocking on the door. I'm still trying to figure out what the hell is going on. So I didn't have on, I think I had on like sweatpants. I couldn't find my shoes. Like, mind you, I have plenty of shoes, but I just couldn't find my shoes. Like, I was just lost and slow. Like, everything was moving so slow. I was moving so slow. So I was moving so slow to the point where she was like dragging me. Like, she had my arm pulling me down the hallway, like, to go to the elevator and to leave. So I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I get in a car. Her boyfriend was outside waiting for us. So I get in the car and I'm just sitting in the back seat and I'm just like froze. Like, what is going on? He got shot. Where? How? What happened? But I couldn't like speak. Like, I was just froze. Like, I didn't know what was going on. So then I think like 5 minutes later, that's when like the emotions, like I started to kind of cry a little bit because it felt weird. Like, I knew something, like I knew it was bad because nobody was saying anything. So I'm just like, okay, now I'm starting to cry and I'm just sitting here. So we get to the hospital and I immediately walk inside. Like, all of his friends are standing outside and I'm like, oh my God. So I walk in. I told them, you know, who I am. I'm Brandon's girlfriend. And they're like, okay, well, we need his mom here. You can't go back. They're like, he's here, but we need his mom here. You can't go back and see him until his mom is here. And I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta call his mom. So that is when I started like panicking kind of, and my anxiety and everything was just coming out because I'm just like, oh my God, how am I gonna call his mom and tell her that her son got shot? Like, so I just called. I called. She's like, oh my God. And then I just tell her, oh, somebody's coming to get you. I think one of his friend's cousins went to go get his mom. So I gave her the address. She went to go get his mom. And they wouldn't let me in the hospital. So I just had to sit there and wait until his mom got there. So his mom gets there. She grabs my hand. We go into the emergency together. We go into the emergency room. And, you know, she tells him she's his mom. I'm his girlfriend. They let us back. So they let us go back to see him. And that was what happened. We sat there for a minute. That's what happened. We sat there in the little waiting room for about 5 minutes. Not long at all. And then a doctor came back and took us back. But then she sat us, once we went through the doors, she sat us down. And we see like the rooms with the curtains in the emergency room. I'm sure y'all know what it looked like. But we didn't know which one he was behind or where he was at all. So a nurse comes over and she has like a jug of water. And she pours us water. And I'm just like you could tell that it was bad because of the way she was talking to us and her giving us the water. Like, I think she just didn't want us to faint or something. Like, she was just preparing us for what we was about to see. So she walks us over to one of the curtains, one of the rooms with the curtains, and she pulls the curtain back and he's just laying there, like laying there. And I don't want to get too much into detail, but his mom loses it. And I'm sitting there like, what? Like, I didn't know what to do because I didn't want to break down. His mom had already broken down. So I didn't want to break down. And now we're both like, so immediately in my head, I'm like, okay, be strong, Shalia. Be strong, Shalia. Be strong. Of course, I was crying. I was crying my eyes out. But I'm like, be strong, Shalia. Be strong, be strong. So they tell us, you know, what's going on. And they tell us that he has to get surgery. They told us where he got shot. One of the bullets was in his head. So he got shot. It went in right here. like over in this area, and the bullet was like back here. It was still inside, like it didn't come out. So once I heard the headshot, it was just like I'm about to lose my boy. So I'm stressed out at the moment. I'm going through it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to lose, my boyfriend. I don't know what to do. I'm hysterically crying. I'm upset. And we wind up, going back into the waiting area. His grandpa, all his family came. His friends were still outside. And when I went back outside, they're like, is he okay? I'm like, no, like he's not okay. I'm crying. So then I go back in and the doctors tell us that, okay, they're taking him into surgery. So because he was still alive, I don't think, he wasn't breathing on his own. But he was still alive. So they said they were taking him into surgery, and we all just waited. So I think they took him into surgery around like 6. It wasn't immediate. Like they didn't immediately take him in. But I believe it was around like 6. So they took him in. Now it's getting light outside. We're just waiting. So I think around like 7, 6 or 7, they took him in for surgery. And I felt like, I don't know, something was telling me like around like 12, he should be out of surgery. No, I don't think he was out of surgery until like 3 p.m. He was in surgery for a long time. So he came out of surgery. We were then in the hospital, like inside the hospital upstairs in like the ICU waiting room. So we're in the ICU waiting room and the neurologist comes out. One of the people that was a part of the team, the surgical team that worked on him, and she's like, he's out of surgery. I was just hoping that she, said that he survived. We didn't know what to expect because we didn't hear anything from any doctor. So she came out, she's like, okay, he's out of surgery. He's now upstairs. They told us where the bullet was. They told us, what was going on inside of his head, and that we would be able to see him shortly. So we see him shortly. It was a lot for me because, of course, that's my boyfriend. So I'm still trying to, put together what's going on. His friends are telling me what's happening, what happened, what was going on that night, where he was at. It was just a lot to take in all at once. So I'm not going to, say everything. I'm not going to go into every detail because if I do, I'll be telling y'all a story time for it'll be like a 40-minute story time. So, after that, I pretty much stayed. Like, I stayed in the hospital. Surgery after surgery, I was there. I didn't go home. Like, I think it took me like a good week to really go home and get some stuff and take a shower. Because I wasn't, I had my toothbrush and everything there, but I stayed in the hospital in the ICU room with him. There was a bathroom inside of our room. So I just stayed in there, brushed my teeth in there, washed my face, washed up every day. And it was just like, that was where I was at. I went home to get like a couple, pairs of underwear and some clothes because it's always cold. But we was in the ICU for about 2 months. And then after the 2 months, we were able to go to rehab. We went to rehab. And because he had started opening his eyes a little bit, like he was kind of coming back. He wasn't talking or anything yet. And he was able to do little stuff, but he wasn't really able to do much. So we got him to rehab. Then he wound up getting sick. He caught pneumonia. We had to go back to the ICU. We were there for about another 2 weeks. And then we went back to rehab. When we went back to rehab, he finally, they were able to get him to start talking again. They were able, he wasn't talking fully, but they were able to get him to start making sounds again. He started making little sounds. They were able to start teaching him how to feed himself, how to talk. how to walk. Like, they were doing all of that. They was working on that every day. So I think the whole process, the process happened, the situation happened March 31st. And he got home in July. So that's about 4 months that we were in the hospital and in rehab. So the day before he came home, I had already started going through the process of getting his phone unlocked. His mom was now his power of attorney. And she gave me his phone to try to get it unlocked because of course he couldn't really talk, and his memory wasn't really there. So he didn't know like his password or anything. He couldn't write. He was right-handed, but remember, he got shot right here. So I talked to Apple, went through the whole process, and got into his phone. So the day before he was coming home, got into his phone that night. And he never gave me a reason to really look through his phone, but looked through his phone once I got it open, and I see some things that was not cool at all. And that put me in a weird space, because I had to figure out what I really weird space, because for 4 months I didn't go to work at all. I didn't go to work. Of course, I could have gone to work, but my boyfriend got shot in the head. Like, there's no way that I was going to work. There was no way I was going to work. So I just was like, I have to do what I have to do, and it is what it is. His friends they set up a GoFundMe. We did like a fish fry, and we raised a good amount of money, which helped out a lot. But there was still bills. There was still car notes, my car note, his car note, my phone bill, my car. Like, I had my own stuff too that I wasn't even, like, I was taking care of. I was taking care of my bills, but it was a lot going on. Like, I remember when I left the parking lot for the therapy, because his therapy place was like, it was downtown. So I remember I left one day out of the parking garage, and it was $360. And I was like, I had the money to pay it, but I was just like, oh my God, like, spending money on food, spending money on parking, spending money on your own bills, rent, everything was just adding up. Like, I wasn't even able to really take care of myself, get my hair done, get my nails done. Like, it was crazy. One of his aunts actually got my nails done. Got my hair done, which was cool, but it was so much. So I got his phone open. I seen some things I didn't like, and I had to make a decision, because I'm just like, I didn't go to work. I'm sitting here taking care of this person, feeding him in the hospital, like, doing everything that I have to do, or that I should be doing, that was my boyfriend. So I did what I had to do, because we were in a relationship, all to finally get your phone open and see that you weren't 100% there in the relationship. So that kind of messed me up a little bit. So when I got to the hospital the next day to go pick him up, I did wind up having a conversation with his mom, not there, but at the house. And I just was like, I seen some things that wasn't really cool. And she asked me what was I gonna do, and I said I didn't know, because of course that was my boyfriend. I didn't want to just up and leave him. I just spent 4 months in the hospital taking care of this person and holding it down. Like, I held down everything that I was supposed to do. Like, I did everything I was supposed to do. So it was just like, I don't know, like, I can't just leave him like that. Like, but it still hurt me. Like, the things that I seen hurt me. So his mom just wasn't really getting along with the whole taking care of him. Comfortable. It was like, if I wanted to do little things for myself, like, the money wasn't all the way there because I had went part-time. It would be little stuff that I needed, or just little stuff that would make me happy, like going to my friend's house or whatever. Like, I was trying to pick up shifts at work And then if my friends call me over, like sometimes I would want to go because it's like, okay, I'm helping take care of him. I've seen stuff in his phone, like it just was a lot, and I was not happy. Like I was in such a dark, depressing space because I just had so much on my mind and I felt trapped. Like I couldn't do anything if I was to go somewhere or do something. Like I felt horrible about it. Like I couldn't do anything to make myself happy. And it just was so freaking uncomfortable. So I made the decision to leave. I made the decision to put myself first. And that's really what I wanted this video to be about. I wanted you guys to hear my story because this is a part of my story. This is a part of my journey, which is why I decided to tell you guys. And if anyone feels a way that I came on YouTube and talked about my story and my journey, then don't watch it, click off. Or if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it. But because I really don't care anyway. But I was in such a dark space and I really had to learn to put myself first because it was like how I felt didn't matter. That's how I felt. It was like whenever people would call, they would always ask, oh, how is such and such? How is Brandon? But it wasn't really how are you? Like what's going on with you? And it was such a crazy time. But yeah, I was in such a dark space. So I think around September, I applied to be a flight attendant. I already currently work for American Airlines, but I said, you know what? I need to put myself first. I need to do what's gonna make me happy, do what's going to fulfill me. And at the moment, like I love to travel. That's my thing. Like I love to travel. So I was like, let me just apply to be a flight attendant. I applied to be a flight attendant and I got the job. I did the interview and then I winded up getting an email saying that they wanted to meet me face to face. They flew me out to Dallas. The interview went great. I got offered the job and I was about to leave in March. Well, I'll get into that in a minute, but I got offered the job and I got my date to come to training. And then COVID happened, so of course I didn't go. But it was the hardest thing I ever had to do in my life because I felt like I was letting him down. But then again, it was also bad that was coming with it. Like I felt like I was battling with leaving, staying, because it was just like, okay, if I leave, his friends are gonna hate me, his family's gonna hate me, everybody's gonna judge me. Like I felt so freaking trapped. Like, and I really had to realize that I cannot worry about what other people say, and you just have to do what you have to do for you. And it was so freaking hard. It was so hard. I felt like I was letting him down, but I just was like, you know what? I have to do it. I'll always be there, but I just couldn't. Like for my mental health, I could not do it. And it was like I was battling with so much mentally because when the situation first happened, it was just like, God, I pray. Like I pray. I don't go to church that much. Well, I'm not going to say that much. I don't go to church, but I do have a good relationship with God. And I'm like, I pray to you all the time. We talk all the time. I pray for safety and protection over everybody that I care about. So I just could not understand why that happened to him. I'm like, God, I talk to you and I pray with you. I pray over him all the time. Like, how could you let this happen? And you know how I am. Like, it was just like I could not understand. But the whole situation was a big lesson learned. There was a lot of things in the situation that I would do differently because I sacrificed so much. I sacrificed my job, my car. Like, I sacrificed a lot. because of that situation. And I really feel like it wasn't really appreciated. Like, because of the moment that I decided to leave, it just was like, oh well, forget her. Like, that's really how it felt. Because when I did decide to go, nobody, the same people who was checking up on him, never decided to check up on me. Like, nobody decided to ask me, you know, how are you? How are things? What's new? Like, what's going on? Are you okay? I know what you went through, you know, was a lot. So this story time is actually really long, and I'm gonna try to like just cut it short at this part because I feel like I'm rambling. But I say all that to say, to really do what makes you happy. Put yourself first all the time. All the time. Because that's the only way you'll have peace with yourself, honestly. Like, don't worry about what other people say. Do what you have to do for you. And good will come. As long as you're a good person, good will come. The only thing that got me out of that situation and into a good headspace was praying. I had to pray. I had to pray because I felt like in the beginning of that situation, I felt like, okay, God, like what's happening? Like, I lost faith. I lost faith. I lost all the faith that I had in God because I just didn't understand why something like that would happen. Like, why he would let something like that happen. But I really had to dig deep and really, like, that's why I said that the process kind of broke me down and built me back up. I really had to really dig deep and continue to make sure that I'm always positive and just be in a good headspace. Like, that was the most important thing, to be in a good headspace. I had to make sure, like, my faith is there. I pray all the time. Like, now I pray all the time. I pray all the time. And there's been, you know, stuff at the end. It's just like, all of this is happening for a reason. And I just have to continue to keep the faith. Like, I have to continue to pray. I have to continue to be positive. I have to continue to love. Like, I have to continue to keep my peace. Like, keep my sanity. Like, don't let things get to me. I just had to continue to work on me. Like, that situation really made me work on me. And I'm just going to keep praying about it. I hope and pray that, you know, he's okay and everything works well, works out for him. I hope and pray that he recovers 110%. But that's it for the video. That's my story time on pretty much why, like, I had to take a break from YouTube. I wasn't able to vlog all of that, or like, my mental was just not there. My mental wasn't there. I was sad. I was crying every day. I was depressed. It was just a lot. So of course I had to take a break and really gather myself and get myself together and then come back. But I'm back. I'm happy and things are looking good for me. So I'm just going to continue to pray, continue to be positive, and keep doing me. And I just pray that, you know, God sees it and I continue to be blessed. But I hope that you all are having a blessed day. I hope that you can learn something from this video. And if you have any kind of experiences similar to that or went through the same thing, please put it in the comments below. I would love to hear your stories. You guys can write me, DM me on Instagram, write me and let me know if you guys want to talk or anything like that. Like, I'm here. We're in quarantine. I'm not doing nothing. It's actually a big snowstorm outside. So yeah, just let me know. But make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. And turn them post notifications on.